Well, good evening, everybody. Happy Maha Shivaratri. We'll be getting into that this evening because it's a major holiday and a great time for really celebrating the truth of who we are, the Infinite One, Shiva. So we'll be getting into that, but I want to thank you all for coming this evening and joining us for our program. With all my heart, all my love, I welcome you tonight. As I said, it's Maha Shivaratri. That's a holiday, a major holiday in the Indian Hindu tradition that happens once a year. There's a Shivaratri every month, but Maha Shivaratri, the great night of Shiva for doing the practices, and especially the Shiva mantras, and especially Om Namah Shivaya. So we'll be doing those practices very soon. But we're going to be starting with the opening mantras. And you know, the opening mantras start with Ganesh mantras. Sri Ganesh is the son of Lord Shiva. And one of the boons that Shiva gave to Lord Ganesh was that he would be remembered at the beginning of all sacred rituals and practices. The Ganesh mantras, as a part of the opening, are that invocation of Lord Ganesh as the remover of obstacles. And so when we're invoking that power of the infinite that is in such a delightful form as the dancing elephant, Lord Ganesh, that is opening the way for then all the practices and whatever that might be in a particular ceremony or ritual, but all that goes afterwards. Ganesh is removing the obstacles so that we can fully receive the gifts of grace that come through the practices, that come through the mantras. So we'll start with these opening mantras now. Shrimate Kali Mahadevi Ki Jaya Gajananam Bhutanganari Sevitam Kapita Jambho Palacharu Bhakshanam Umasutam Shokam Vinashakarakam Namami Vigneshwara Parapankajam Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Shri Mata Kali Mahadevi Ki Jai. So once again, with all my heart and with all my love, I welcome you to our program this evening. And there's really one obstacle only, really only a distraction, and that's the mind. So mantra quiets the mind, opens up that spaciousness of stillness. In time, we notice that that stillness pervades all times, all places, is really unbreakable, unshakable. The nature of that is Shiva. So tonight we get to really celebrate and talk some about Shiva, but most importantly is to get into the Shiva chants and the mantra. You know, it's said that on Shivaratri, this night of Shiva, where we celebrate that divine Mahadev, the great Lord. That practices done this evening and through the night are said to have tens of thousands, millions. Bobby used to say, sometimes he'd say 100,000 times, other times 1,000,000, but that much more powerful. And I don't know how that's even possible, because the name of Shiva, what's more powerful than that? But it certainly entices people to do more practices, so that's good. So we would stay up all night and do chants and do mantras of Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Sometimes in the ashram in Ganeshpur, we would have saptas, and the saptas would be 7 days and nights of continuous chanting, and then all through and end, like what would be tomorrow morning, the end of Shivaratri, and big Purnahuti, big chants and celebrations, and a big feast, a bandara, and literally tens of thousands of devotees would come to be with Baba and Bhagavan Nityananda Beri Baba. So just these extraordinary holidays for celebrating the boundless one, Lord Shiva. And there's so many ways of being able to talk about Shiva. But first, we should chant. We'll do a chant of Shiva Shiva Mahadeva. Shiva Shiva Mahadeva, Namah Shivaya Sadashiva, 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 Shiva Shiva Mahadeva, Namah Shivaya Sadashiva. Shiva, Shiva Shiva Mahadev, Shiva Shiva Mahadev, the great Lord. And one of his unique names, because we used to do a chant in the ashram in Ganeshpuri, the 1,000 names of Shiva, the Shiva Sahasranam. And one of the names that would always stand out to me was, his name is Ashutosh. It means one who's easily pleased. And so anything we bring, anything we can offer to Lord Shiva, doesn't have to be perfect. Thank you, Shiva. All that is accepted with such love and such openness, so that Shiva pours his blessings out. And no matter how we approach Lord Shiva, that's what he gives, the fullness of his grace. And, Shiva and Shakti really are inseparable. So when we are invoking Shiva, we get Shakti too. When we make use of Shakti, when we invoke Shakti, we get Shiva as well. And what that means is, mantra is a throb, a vibration of Shakti. It's Shakti, the beloved spouse of Shiva, is one way of of talking about her presence, but they're inseparable. They're beyond female and male. They're beyond all forms. So these are just conventional ways for the mind to try to understand this extraordinary pair of this boundless infinite power of consciousness, the steady witness of Lord Shiva's nature, and how his power, Shakti, produces all the forms of the universe while he watches with infinite delight. So Shiva and Shakti are always at play. And there are many, many forms that we honor Shiva in. For instance, there's the Shiva Nataraj. And Lord of the Dance, that's Shiva in this extraordinary symbolic form that is the entire teaching really in a physical form. Because there's Shiva, Lord of the Dance. And of course, Shakti's always present. Who's Shakti? The flames, the flaming energy all around him. That's the dance of the universe. And in one hand, he holds that flame. But in his other hand, one of his other hands, he's doing this, the Abhaya Mudra. Remember that from last week? We spoke about that. The Abhaya Mudra means fear not. Right? So a seeker, seeing the craziness of the world, feeling the pain and the suffering in the world, can be driven by fear to get free of that. And so approaching Shiva, approaching the Adi Guru, the root Guru, the master of all masters, first message is fear not. So to calm down and see this all as a dance. This is all a dance. Watch this dance, whirling energies. His locks are whirling. They have energy running through them. I mean, he's just this magnificent teacher, right? And one of the hands is also pointing to his left foot. That's the place of grace. When we take refuge at the feet of Lord Shiva, when we take refuge at the feet of the Guru, that's the place to receive the grace to be free of that. And it's also a teaching on how did this come about? Because underneath Shiva's right foot is this curious figure on the ground. And that figure represents avidya, this primal ignorance of the truth of who we are. That we are Shiva, that the whole dance is Shiva, that all there is Shiva. That forgetting, that ignorance, is what allows the whole dance to occur. So ignorance is also part of Shiva's nature, to create that for the unfolding of all this, for unfolding the experience of diversity, of separation, pain and suffering. All those things only can happen in that field of ignorance. Because once we fully realize, once we fully know our Shiva nature again, then we're Shiva. We're the Lord of the dance. It's this ecstatic, wild dance that takes, and our consciousness is beyond all of that as Shiva. So the forms are also inviting us to know the truth of who we are. Shiva, the word literally means the auspicious one. That's the boundless, the infinite, the Godhead, the one beyond all names and forms. But delights in forms as well. So whether it's the Shiva Nataraj or Ardhana Ishwara is another unique form of Shiva that's half Shiva, half the masculine, and half Shakti, Parvati, the divine feminine. So they're truly inseparable. The mind can talk about them as different, but they're not. Is fire different from the heat of fire? Is water different from its wetness? No. The mind creates those differences and can talk about them as if they were separate, but they're not. So wherever Shiva is, we have Shakti. Wherever Shakti is, we have Shiva. And there's another form, and so there's a little statue over here on the puja there. And that's a classic form of what's known as the Shiva Lingam and Yoni. And that little statue I had bought in Ganeshpuri, in a little shop near Betty Baba's Samadhi shrine, just a little ways away from Baba's ashram, when I was there with Baba. And I bought this little statue. And I had done a lot of practices in the Shiva temples in the ashram and down with Betty Baba. And I just wanted to have this form to take home with me. Well, several years later, my wife and I were staying at the ashram up in South Fallsburg. And I had that little lingam and yoni on the windowsill, bone dry, sunny place. And it just sat there. It was one of our pujas. Now, in the ashram, there was a gorgeous statue outside in the gardens that Baba had made of a classic depiction of Shiva the yogi, and sitting in a meditative posture, his dreadlocks wrapped around, the little moon in his hair. And it was a beautiful statue. And so many times I had felt that presence of Shiva through the chants and the mantra in meditation that I used to go each morning, early in the morning, and make an offering at the statue and pranam and light a stick of incense and just have that time with Shiva. And we had been up at the ashram. The ashram had just reopened after a long, hard winter. And I went over to see Shiva, and his statue had taken kind of a beating over the winter of upstate New York and needed some attention. And I remember looking at it and go, "Oh, Shiva, you need some care." And then I also started to think about, well, how do I take care of Shiva's presence inside of me? Sadhana is always about reflection, contemplation, going inside. So I started to think, well, maybe that's a reflection. Maybe I should contemplate, how have I neglected Shiva some? How have I not given the prominence to the practices that I could? So I started to just really do a lot more of the practices, chanting a lot more, doing a lot more japa, mantra repetition of Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And as Betty Baba always said, when you do the mantra, when you do Om Namah Shivaya, you do it with the awareness of I am Shiva. Shivo'ham Shivo'ham. No difference. The mantra is Shiva. The repeater of the mantra is Shiva. The sound is Shiva. It's all Shiva. Carry that awareness while you're doing the practice. So I started doing more of that practice. And then I started just on my own chanting the Shiva Mahimna Stotram. It's a beautiful hymn to Lord Shiva each night. And within a few days, it was very interesting. I started to really, again, feel the fullness of Shiva all the time, all around me. And then after, a week of doing this, not long at all. I mean, Ashutosh, so easily pleased. A few days of extra chant and mantra, and in a dream, Shiva appears to me and just stands there giving me his darshan. To have the darshan of Shiva is to merge in Shiva. To know the highest, the truth of who we are. So in these dreams, Shiva was coming, and I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be overwhelmed. Such gifts. So one morning, after getting up and then doing the chants and practices that we do at the ashram, came back to the room, and my wife Karen and I were in the room, and there was that Shiva lingam and yoni sitting on the sunny windowsill in our room next to a cactus because it was a very bright, hot, bone-dry place. And I look over at the lingam and the yoni, and there's a shimmering light. I go, what is that? I go over and I take a close look, and in this kind of statue, the yoni looks like a sort of a semicircular piece. And typically, like in a Shiva temple, they would be pouring offerings over it, and the offerings would run down and would be collected to be given out as prasad. Well, hanging off of the edge, the end of this yoni, was this crystal clear drop. I was like, oh my God. It's prasad. It's prasad from Shiva Shakti. So I said to Karen, look, it's prasad. It came out of a statue, a stone statue. She looked at me, I said, take it, just take your finger and touch it, and then take it to your mouth. And she did. It was like a nectar. And another drop. Shiva. Another drop appeared. So I took that. And I had to sit down. And then I went into samadhi. I could feel it touch my tongue. My whole face, body started to tingle. All I could do was sit and go into samadhi. I don't know how long I was there. This is a gift. So Shiva. When we talk about Shiva, we need to know the reality of that. It's not just a beautiful philosophy, and Kashmir Shaivism is one of the most exquisite philosophical systems there is. I think it's the highest flowering of the human experience. There's Shiva, the reality of Shiva. The reality of Shiva. It's pure grace. It's pure love. What Shiva won't do to reveal the truth of who we are. We can merge in Shiva, our own self. That's you. You are Shiva. I've never been anything else but Shiva. Nothing else but Shiva exists. This is what Shiva reveals, the direct knowing of that, the direct experience of that. Shiva, Shiva. So coming home to the truth of who we are, that's the gift of Shiva. The power of Shiva to create all this and then to reveal the truth of who we are. That is his Shakti. That's Kundalini Shakti. So even in the grossest element, in the Muladhara chakra, the root chakra, the element of earth, there's Shiva and Shakti in embrace. There's no place throughout creation and beyond that isn't Shiva, Shakti. You. So the practices are the gift of Shiva, to know Shiva. They created the illusion That's why only grace can dispel it. The efforts of the mind cannot count for that much. And even that is grace unfolding, Shakti. And this is the reality of Shiva. This is what it is to become immersed in Shiva, to celebrate Shiva, the dance of Shiva, the stillness of Shiva. Oh, the absolute stillness. There's a great poet saint. Her name is Lalleshwari. She was a Kashmir Shaivite. She lived up in Kashmir back in the 14th century. And her poetry is just exquisite. She was this rapturous devotee of Shiva. She was Shiva. She became Shiva. That's all there was. Oh, Shiva Shiva Mahadeva. Namah Shivaya Sadashiva. So Lalleshwari writes, I, Lala, entered the jasmine garden where Shiva and Shakti were united in love. I dissolved into them. So what is this me now? I appear to be here, but really, I'm strolling through the jasmine garden. The fragrance of Shiva, the beauty of Shiva, pervading every moment. This is the gift of Shiva. Lali writes, why do you grope around like the blind? Please don't doubt what I tell you. If you are wise, enter within. See, the Lord himself is there. You need not search for him anywhere else. Turn within. You become absorbed in the one. And then the world turns into his jasmine garden. And you're Shiva, strolling through the garden. Lali writes, if, even while living in the world, a person dissolves in meditation on Shiva, in the name of Shiva, in discrimination and in truth, oh Lali, that person becomes a flower in the hand of Shiva. You are the blossoming of Shiva. That's the truth. Know that and delight in that. Or suffer to be the little creature under Shiva's foot. The difference is remembering, coming back to the truth of who you are. Shiva. It's all there is Shiva. So on this most auspicious night of Maha Shivaratri, we get to chant the names of Shiva. So we'll do some Shiva chants now, and then we'll just, at the end, there'll be a few different chants. Then we'll just sit in the stillness, in the embrace of Lord Shiva, the One. So we'll start with Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadev, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho, Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadev, Mahadev the great Lord, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho, Shambho, the auspicious one, the granter of peace. Om Shiva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva Mahadeva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Mahadeva. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shambho. Om Shivo'ham Shivo'ham Mahadev. Om Shivo'ham Shivo'ham Mahadev. Jaya Shiva Jaya Shiva Jaya Shambho. Jaya Shiva Jaya Shiva Jaya Shambho. Om Shiva Shiva Om Mahadev. Jaya Shiva Jaya Shiva Jaya Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho, Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho, Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho, Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho, Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho. Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Namah Om. Shivaya Namah Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Namah Om. Shivaya Namah Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Namah Om. Shivaya Namah Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shivaya Namah Om. Shivaya Namah Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Namah Om. Shivaya Namah Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Namah Om. Shivaya We end with this prayer. And may all our practices truly benefit everyone. And may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. Shivaya. No words can do Shiva justice. No mantras can hold Shiva. It's Shiva who holds it all. All mantras, all creation. Shiva, Shiva. Nothing but Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. The nectar of that divine awareness. It's what the great Saint Lalleshwari wrote about in Amrit Anubhav. The nectar of divine consciousness. The union of Shiva and Shakti. Your union. Coming home to that. Here and now. All times. The physical gift of Shiva's gift from the yoni and the lingam 35 years ago. That nectar is really the nectar of awareness. It's what the yogis talk about metaphorically, dripping from the Sahasrara down into our being. The sublime knowing of the infinite, the one. It's boundless love. It's boundless joy. It's boundless compassion. It's boundless wisdom. Again, the mind gives different words for different qualities. They're all one. All one. All Shiva. All the infinite. All the divine. Known by so many names. It can delight in so many forms. But dissolve into it. To know the fullness. To know what Shiva wants you to know. That you are Shiva. You are the self of all. You are my beloved. It's all Shiva. It's all there is. So keep coming home to Shiva, your own self. The awareness of I am that. I am Shiva. Shivo'ham Shivo'ham. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Through the rest of the night. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. All there is Shiva. Let the name wash away all differences. Let the name open the floodgates of your heart. Drown in that ocean of love. That's Shiva. That's the truth of who you are. No matter what effort you make, Lord Shiva, Ashutosh, be pleased. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. So on this night of Shiva, of Maha Shivaratri, Do puja to yourself. Go within. Beat the drum of Shivo'ham Shivo'ham. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. So I bow to you, Shiva, Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. And now we come to a close for this evening for our program. But keep that awareness. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. All the time, all places. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. A throb of your sublime self. Humming, already humming within you as you repeat it, only to help the mind become subtle enough, quiet enough to merge with what already is. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. So with all my heart, with all my love, I thank you, Shiva, for coming this evening in all your glorious forms.